How are you, David?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. How are things back there?
Fantastic, mate. A massive event too for you, starting today, I believe.
Yes, it will be. It's starting, I think, in about 16 hours. But we've got a big lineup of racing coming up. We've got 11 crews racing today, and then a few more racing tomorrow. So it's going to be a big lineup.
How have your preparations gone for that, mate? And also, of course, with the Olympics less than a year away, how are they looking as well?
Yeah, the preparation's gone well. We've got our own little base in Varese in northern Italy that we've been training at for about 6 weeks now. So we had a lead-up regatta in Switzerland about 7 weeks ago. We didn't go that well, but since then we've had some great training. So we're actually looking really, really forward to this. And you're quite right. It's pretty much the preparations for the Olympics. We're actually going to qualify our boats for Australia at this regatta, and so it's pretty important in that regard.
We've got David Crawshay, the gun Australian Olympic rower, on the show at the moment. So you're in Slovenia and then Italy, is that right?
Well, yeah, I'm in Slovenia at the moment, and then I guess I'll take a little bit of a holiday in Italy before coming back to Australia. And actually, it's interesting you talk about the Cats because I'm a bit of a Cats fan, and so I probably won't stick around to hear the last quarter against Sydney. Cause,
we might alienate a few listeners there, mate, but it comes as a shock after such a winning streak for the Cats down there.
Oh, it does. I know. It's been a while since we lost down there, hasn't it?
Yeah, something like 2007, something like that. So that's huge. Yeah. Now, Dave, it's Jack here. Just you're going to be teamed up with Scott Brennan again. That must be exciting.
It is exciting. It's always exciting rowing with Scott because he's got such an intensity about him, but he's also such a great rower and he's a winner. And I guess that's the reason why I really love rowing with him because he loves racing, he loves going out there, and he loves just putting it on the line, which I really love.
Now, your biggest rival, as I've been told, is Germany in this event. How are they tracking, do you think? And can we knock them off over there?
Look, I think we can. We've actually got them in our heat tomorrow, so we start off with the best. Look, they're a good crew. Also, the New Zealanders are pretty good, and the Poms are good too. The Poms seem to be going pretty good across the board. So we're looking at those three crews as being the main threats, and there will be others, but we've got Germany straight off, so it's kind of a bit of a baptism of fire for us.
How much of a psychological edge can you gain through the World Rowing Championships going ahead to the Olympics in less than a year now, mate, in London against the likes of Germany and the like? How do you think, how important is this in terms of up against the Olympics, I guess, in terms of reckoning?
Oh, I'm not going to overstate it. I mean, a lot can change within a year, and especially in a sport such as rowing, where I think a lot of people don't know it's actually quite a technical sport. So you can really be on it one year and then kind of fall off a little bit the next year. So, I mean, it's pretty good in terms of momentum, and for a crew like us that's come back from 2 years off, then it is pretty important. But really, a lot can change from year to year. But obviously, we need to get the boat qualified, so that's a big first step. And being able to put down a good performance in the final, I think will just kind of put a few things at rest for us.
Sorry for being naive about this one, Dave, but what do you mean by boat qualifying? As in, you as a pair with Scott, or are we talking that both of you qualify at the same time?
Well, rowing's a little bit different from some other sports. This year round, so we're a year out from the Olympics, roughly 11 spots are up for grabs in most boat classes around the world. So if we come in the top 11, then that means that Australia gets to row the boat at the Olympics next year. It doesn't necessarily mean that we get to row it. That'll be determined by selections as to whether Scott and I will row it. But if we come 11th or better in the double, then that means that Australia gets to send away a double next year to the Olympic Games.
Who are your main rivals at home and abroad then, in terms of individual rowers there vying for the positions there that you and Scotty have at the moment, David?
Well, we've got a fair few good scullers going around, so people who row with two oars. We're actually hoping to qualify all three boats and get 7 spots happening for the Olympics next year. We've got some seasoned campaigners, a guy called Daniel Noonan from New South Wales, and then there's also a friend of mine from Melbourne called Carsten Forstling. He's been going at it for a fair while now, and he's starting to see some good success, so that's good. We've got a few others, such as James McRae and Chris Morgan, who are both from South Australia. And so there is a fair bit of depth through the category, and actually a lot of those guys were in the quad scull 3 years ago at the Olympic Games that came a very close fourth, and so I mean they were a second off getting a bronze medal. So obviously they're pretty keen to try and atone for what happened 3 years ago.
Absolutely. Now, David, you've obviously represented Australia at the Olympics and done quite well at that. Do you still get nervous before a race and before a big meeting like this, or are you more calm and due to your experience, you've learnt to hype the expectation?
I think I'm more calm. I don't think you can ever get away from being nervous before the start of the race, and quite frankly, you're probably not human if you're not a little bit nervous before it. We've got techniques that we use to try and
What's yours?
Try and harness those nerves. What's that?
What do you like to do before a race?
Oh, look, I'm usually a pretty extroverted guy. I kind of like to joke around a little bit and get myself in a nice, relaxed frame of mind. Whereas the guy, Scotty, who I'm rowing with, he's a little bit more internal, and so he likes to, I guess, to internalise his feelings a little bit and just prepare in his own little way. And so I guess the good thing is to make sure that I'm not in his way and I'm not kind of getting on his nerves, because that's the last thing that we want. But I mean, different people have different things. He listens to music. I listen to a bit of music, but I kind of like the friendly banter that you have between the athletes and stuff before a race.
Beautiful stuff, David. We're chatting to David Crawshay, the Australian Olympic rower. Of course, the World Championships in the rowing get underway in about 16 hours or so, and Scotty Brennan and David Crawshay competing together. And I want to ask you also, mate, such an underrated and phenomenal sport as well. How taxing is it on the body, the exciting sport of rowing?
It's pretty taxing. You get to the end of the race, and it's quite funny because you see some of the other events, and you see the 100-metre sprint, which is a pretty short event, but even some of those running events, the people kind of, sometimes if they've got a good enough lead, then they've got a bit of time even before the race is finished to celebrate and stuff. But it's a bit difficult in rowing. You basically, I guess it's the nature of the sport. You can't let go of your oars and put your hands up before the finish line. And so you see these crews that have just, won a race and you wouldn't even know they've won it because they're all kind of hunched over. They're all trying to cough their guts up or something just because it's taken a bit out of them.
Yeah, I bet. Now, we've spoken about the men. What about the women? They are also competing. A few Australians have gone over for the women's pair and the women's quad scull. Who should we be looking out for in the girls' side of things?
Oh, look, I think there's a great range of events in the women's, boats that have come out of Australia in the women's. We've got a pair, as you say. We've got a women's double scull who have actually been going very, very well. So they'll be one to look at, as well as the pair. And then we've got a quad scull who have been doing some very good work in Varese, where we've been in northern Italy. And then you get to the lightweight women. So that's the women who are 57 kilograms or under, and they've been around the mark too. So we've actually got a fair few good prospects there in the women's to go along with the men.
Well, fantastic to have you on the show, as we said there, David. We're going to back you in to win gold at the World Rowing Championships and also at the Olympics in both the men and the women, mate. Good luck with Scotty Brennan, mate, and fantastic to have you, as we said, and good luck in the future.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys.